planning to train all of his nearly 900 deputies to make arrests under state and federal immigration laws. That's despite the fact that back in October, the federal government stripped his deputies of the power to make federal immigration arrests.
So nothing has changed except the perception and the politics emanating from Washington. We're still doing the same thing, but now we will have 900 deputies trained by my office.
Those of you who
all of Arpaio's deputies will undergo 2 hours of initial training.
The expert brought in for some of that training is Kris Kobach, controversial figure linked to the anti-immigration movement.
Kobach cites a 2002 Office of Legal Counsel opinion that states local law enforcement officers have inherent authority to enforce federal immigration laws.
We know we're doing it right, but if you get an opinion, it may allay some of their fears, an official opinion.
The only problem with that opinion?
Its legal effect is just like a balloon. It might as well be hot air.
Phoenix defense attorney Mike Black.
It's going to get litigated in court, and if they're using that as authority, they are not going to win.
The sheriff also says victims of crimes and witnesses to crimes won't be guaranteed protection if they happen to be illegal immigrants.
Arpaio's critics voiced their displeasure with today's announcement, fearing more deputies enforcing immigration laws will lead to more questions about racial profiling.
This is going to step up our efforts to document what the sheriff is doing so that we can report it.
Several lawsuits accuse the sheriff of racial profiling. He claims his deputies don't do it. Now, we did some research on Kris Kobach. He is listed as counsel for the Immigration Reform Law Institute. That's the legal arm for the Federation for American Immigration Reform, or FAIR. The Southern Poverty Law Center has deemed that organization a hate group. In 2004, Kobach ran for Congress in Kansas, but he lost after he was accused of having ties to white supremacists.
During those immigration sweeps, sheriff's deputies fill out what are called stat sheets. They detail who was pulled over and why. There's information there on people even if they didn't end up being arrested. But now an attorney for the sheriff's office admits hundreds of those stat sheets have been destroyed. And one attorney we talked to tonight says it seems to have been done intentionally. Trying to prove sheriff's deputies are racially profiling during these sweeps just got a lot harder. That's because part of the paper trail has been destroyed.
That we believe that this is not merely the case of some sort of mistake, but rather that the sheriff's office has engaged in at least gross negligence, if not intentional destruction of documents.
Peter Kazanets is an attorney who's suing the sheriff's office on behalf of several people who say they were pulled over simply because they're Hispanic. When the suit was first filed 2 years ago, the sheriff's office was ordered to turn over all documents related to those crime suppression operations, including the stat sheets every deputy fills out in the field. Instead, though, the sheriff's office admits it shredded about 1,000 of those stat sheets. Kazanet says they could have contained critical evidence.
Studying and comparing the stat sheets would enable us to show that the officers were engaging in a form of selective enforcement.
Attorneys representing the sheriff's office say those documents were mistakenly destroyed, although the sheriff today didn't have a whole lot to say about the issue.
Why were those stat sheets destroyed?
You know, I'm not going to get into that lawsuit about certain notes being destroyed after they've been transcribed to official documents.
We're also told there are hundreds of emails between sheriff's deputies that were supposed to be turned over to attorneys, but they are also now missing. The sheriff's office says there wasn't anything relevant in those emails. Still, a federal judge is now going to decide whether to punish the sheriff's office for getting rid of all those documents. I'm Alex Savage, Fox 10 News.